Most organizations do not struggle with AI governance because they lack a policy. They struggle because they cannot answer four basic questions. Where is AI being used? Who owns each use case? How is risk assessed? And who decides whether an AI use case is ready for deployment? An AI policy is valuable. It sets boundaries, explains expected behavior, and gives employees a common point of reference. But a policy alone does not create visibility, accountability, consistent decisions, or ongoing oversight. That is the role of AI governance. AI governance is the system of roles, processes, controls, and evidence used to manage how artificial intelligence is selected, purchased, developed, deployed, and monitored. A policy tells people what the organization expects. Governance turns those expectations into repeatable operational decisions. Imagine a company that tells employees not to enter confidential information into public AI tools and to verify AI-generated outputs before using them. Those are sensible rules. But the company may still have no reliable overview of which tools are being used across departments. It may not know who approved a particular use case, what data is involved, or who is accountable when an AI-generated recommendation is wrong. The policy communicates intent. The governance model creates control. A practical AI governance model needs 7 connected components. The first is an AI use case inventory. You cannot govern what you cannot see. The inventory records where AI is being used, the purpose of the use case, the business owner, the provider or model, the data involved, the current status, and the initial level of risk. For many small and mid-sized organizations, this does not require an expensive technology platform. A structured register in Excel or Microsoft Lists can provide a practical starting point. The second component is clear ownership. Every AI use case should have a named business owner who understands its purpose and remains accountable for its business application. Depending on the risk, additional reviewers may include IT, information security, data protection, legal, compliance, procurement, data governance, or risk management. The exact structure will vary, but AI governance cannot belong to everyone in theory and no one in practice. The third component is risk-based oversight. Not every use case requires the same level of review. Using AI to improve the wording of an internal document is different from using AI to evaluate job applicants, influence financial decisions, or provide medical recommendations. An initial risk screening can consider the impact on individuals, the sensitivity of the data, the degree of automation, the importance of the decision, and the consequences of an incorrect result. Lower-risk use cases can follow a lightweight path. Higher-risk use cases should require stronger review, testing, documentation, approval, and monitoring. The goal is proportional governance, not unnecessary bureaucracy. The fourth component is a defined review and approval workflow. Before deployment, the organization should understand the business purpose, the data involved, the provider, the main risks, and the controls that are required. A practical workflow may begin with registration, followed by initial screening, specialist reviews where needed, a decision, and documented conditions for approval. The workflow should make clear who can approve each type of use case and which issues must be resolved before deployment. The fifth component is documentation and traceability. It should be possible to understand why a use case was approved, which risks were identified, which controls were required, and who made the decision. The amount of documentation should reflect the level of risk. The purpose is not paperwork for its own sake. The purpose is accountability and evidence. The sixth component is ongoing monitoring. AI governance does not end when a use case is approved. Providers may update their systems. Data may change. Employees may use a tool in new ways. Performance may decline, and new risks may appear. Organizations should define what will be monitored, who will review the results, how often the review will occur, and which events require action. The seventh component is incident and exception management. Employees may use unapproved tools. Sensitive information may be entered into an unsuitable system. An AI output may influence a decision incorrectly. The organization needs a clear process for reporting, assessing, escalating, and resolving these situations. These 7 components show why an AI policy is necessary but not sufficient. A policy provides direction. An inventory creates visibility. Ownership creates accountability. Risk screening creates proportionality. A workflow creates consistent decisions. Documentation creates traceability. Monitoring creates ongoing oversight. And incident management creates a structured response when something goes wrong. A small organization does not need a large AI governance department to begin. A lightweight model can start with a simple inventory, named owners, initial risk screening, a defined approval process, basic documentation, monitoring, and an incident process. The model can mature as the organization's use of AI grows. And the most common mistake is not starting too small. It is starting with a policy document that is never connected to day-to-day operations. If you need a practical starting point, ready-to-use AI governance templates and implementation toolkits are available through the first link in the description.